to get out of here in about 90 minutes. Let us ask Reverend Pat to lead us in opening prayer.
So let us go to that place within our hearts and within our minds where we know and we feel that divine presence moving in and through us today. We are indeed grateful for divine ideas, the opportunity to share with each other, and the opportunity to listen. Listening beyond our ears, but listening with the ears of our heart. So today we see this meeting unfolding in a way that is truly a blessing to each and every person that is present and a blessing to Unity Minneapolis. We say thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Pat. So here's how this is going to go today. We're in the sanctuary because it's a wonderful, warm space, and we are going to break down into smaller groups and work as if we're at tables and chairs. We'll spend some time together, we'll spend some time in the space, and spend some time in small group. And then we will have time at the end for Q&A, but feel free along the way, if there's a burning question, let's tackle it as we go, because that works best for all of us. We have some technology opportunities, and we're going to play through them and see how this goes. I would like to go to the next slide and tell you what the agenda is, which we'll get to that in a moment. But the agenda is such. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to just take a little walk back in time. So I'm Margie Olson. I'm on the board of directors. I'm leading the facilities team. How many were here last week for the annual meeting or live streamed it? Okay, so our walk in time will be a little similar to what we did last week, which is just talk about where we've been the last few years, how did we get to today? And then we're going to talk about what we've been doing as a Facilities and Accessibility Committee and the Board of Trustees for the last year or so. Then we're going to come in, ask you where you have been on that journey, and then we're going to break into small groups and start doing some visioning for what you individually and then what we collectively can plan for as we transform our space. I will tell you that we are open. Everything is on the table. It's all about possibilities. There has been no decision about whether we are able to transform everything we need in this space or do we need to go to another space. None of those decisions has been made. We'll talk about what we have decided so far, and then we will take it from here and build it and envision it, build it, transform it as we go. Okay? And so, my phone's not here. So let us begin, though, with taking a little bit of a walk back in time. For those of you who participated, a few years ago, we did what we technically call a butts in seats survey. So on a Sunday morning, when we had 3 services, we had people in the congregation be passed out a document, a survey, and something to write with, and then we all got quiet. And we let everybody spend 5, 6, 7 minutes filling out their survey. And so because it was during the service, thank you, and because you were here and a captive audience, we returned 380 surveys. So we asked questions about where are we at and what's working for you and what do we want to change in the future to be who we want to be in the future. And you said a lot of things. And so we took that information, that data, what we think is working, the board reviewed it, a committee reviewed it, and then we did some appreciative inquiry. So we did some interviews. We did focus groups and asked for opinions. We did one-on-one interviews and asked for opinions. We did some online surveying. So we just wanted to understand, given a space in your mind, what's your vision, what would you like to have? And so we had that data. And then we took all that data, both from the paper survey and then from the focus groups and the appreciative work, and we moved it into the Facilities and Accessibility Committee, strategic planning, reviewed it to say, well, what do we have here for data? And we looked at the common themes, and we knew that what people said was, there are some key themes that we have to solve for right now, and we don't want to wait another day. And so we said, okay, based on those few themes, we're going to do some stuff anyway. What else do we want to do then while we're there? And so that's at the point that we're at now. So we spun up the Facilities and Accessibility Committee, began meeting to say, who can help us with this? And so we began interviewing. Oh, and I just wanted to say, so when we came out with all of that data, together the Board of Trustees came up with strategic intentions that we think typify what you all said to us, both in the paper survey and in the appreciative inquiry. And there are 3 intentions. The first one being, we're a globalized regional center for we're a globally recognized center for spiritual growth and transformation. That's one of our strategic intentions. Who will we be? Who are we? This is who we are. This is our vision for who we are. Conscious connection. We consciously create connections that celebrate authentic relationships in the world. Okay? Second strategic intention. Third strategic intention is organizational excellence. We are a flagship ministry that demonstrates excellence in our leadership, technology, and facilities. And what's interesting about that is we mentioned facilities in the last strategic intention, but if you really think about it, the facilities, the space, the way we connect, whether it be virtual or in person, our accessibility, all of that relates to all three of the strategic intentions. So it's really, yes. Meaning that we're known for it. This is something that we do. It's our North Star. It's the thing that we are known for. Yeah, we're really good at it. We're excellent at it. It's our thing. Okay, and so our space, our facilities, our accessibility, a way to be able to connect with each other crosses all three of these strategic intentions. So we're going to get it right, and we're going to envision, and we're going to transform to meet all these three intentions. Okay. And so we said, how will we do that? And the Facilities and Accessibility Committee then created goals that we believe, took a look at all the data, the paper survey, the online, the appreciative inquiry, and our own history. We looked back at the history. For those of you that have been here for several years, we went back to meeting minutes from when Facilities and Accessibility met before. And you've had working with an architect before. So we took all of that information into what we thought was data that said, here's what you're thinking about who we can be and where we can go. And so the Facilities and Accessibility Committee came up with 3 goals for the future, for transforming our space. And they are, our space has access for everyone at all levels. Our space contains an office environment that allows for connecting with each other, efficient workflows, and teamwork. And our space is warm, welcoming, and up to date. And so based on what we heard, we believe most of what was asked for comes into these 3 categories. The most common themes come into these 3 categories. So then our charge is, how can we help make sure that we create this space? And the first thing we did was, can we do it in the space that we're in without changing anything? And so we did our due diligence, and the answer is no. I was saying last Sunday that we had an architect tell us that he counted 16 different levels in our space here, and that it was a record for him. And that's probably not a score that we want to win at. And so if we're going to stay here, and that could be what we decide, what you all and we decide, we're going to make it accessible to all. And then we're going to accomplish these 3 goals, okay? And we had a question last week when I used the word we. I want to make sure you understand when I say we, I mean we. And so there are times that I might mean the Board of Trustees, but that wouldn't be we, not if I'm talking to you. And if it's the staff, I wouldn't say we if I'm talking. When I say we, it's you and me. It's all of us collectively finding a way to do this journey together, which we know how to do. We'll have help, and this is not the first time. Other congregations, other organizations bring multiple people together and take them along a journey together, and that's what we'll do, okay? And so we said, all right, based on what we need, based on who we are, based on who we're going to be, and based on the strategic intentions and the goals, we're going to need some help. What should we do? Because we want to consider this space, and then we want to make sure that we know that however we need to transform, if we can't do it here, then we need help to figure out what else can we do then. And so we began interviewing architects. So we started with a group of 15 separate architectural firms here in the Twin Cities who have a connection to faith-based organizations. And then we narrowed that to about 7 and did some one-on-one interviews. And then we narrowed that to 4, and we brought them in, and it was one of those 4 that was counting the levels as he was walking around. We took them next door. For those of you who are not clear, we own the manse next door, the property next door. It's zoned residential. This is zoned for a church. We own both of them, and we've paid for them outright. And so they're looking at that property as well as they're thinking, and we shared with them our strategic intentions, and we shared with them our goals for facilities and accessibility. So they were aware of what we were going after. We also told them that we want them to tell us how they would work with us. What can we expect from them to engage in being prosperous? So we live abundance and prosperity and the Unity values, so we shared all that with them. We told them, based on our intentions and our goals, and the current space that we have, we want to make this happen, and we want to do it in a way that involves the staff and the board of trustees and the congregation. And we want to know how you would approach that. And we also wanted to know, how have you done that before? So these 4 firms, we narrowed it to those 4. Got a lot of information from them. They came and did walkthroughs. They interviewed. We interviewed. They came back and did some presentations. So it was pretty thorough. And then we narrowed it to 2. So at this point, the Board of Trustees, so the Facilities and Accessibility Committee was doing all of that piece and keeping the board informed. And then the board got the information that they needed, did their own Q&A with potential architects, and then narrowed the list to 2. And then we brought 2 in for interviews and for a chance to see from them a little bit more detail about how they would work with us. The other thing we did is we did some field trips. So we took a day. We went to 2 properties from one of the architects and 2 properties from the other architect, and we looked at what they've done. And they were savvy enough to select sites for us to visit that mirrored what our challenges are. Accessibility, how important live streaming and technology is, what we love about our space now. So they let us see sites that they thought might give us a glimpse of what it could be like, regardless if we're here or somewhere else, what it would be like to work with them. So that was very smart on their part. We got a lot of good information. And then we as a board met again, did our due diligence, and then we made a choice for our architect. And that's Vanman. So I've been saying Van Man. That's not correct. Apparently it's Vanman. And so they're going to start working with us. This is very exciting. Their business is set up around faith-based organizations. So they build primarily, they do other things, but for the most part, they are architects for faith-based organizations. The other thing that we really like about them is they are also a construction firm. So they're a full service. They can be the architect and then stay and be the construction. They can be the architect and we can have someone else do the construction. They can inherit somebody else's architecture plans and then they can do the construction. What we know is we are now committed to signing a contract with them to help us as their architect, okay? We don't know if we're going to use them also for construction. We've not made that decision. We will know as we begin to decide what our space, as we begin to decide what our space should look like, whether they're the right people for that. One of the things we liked about them was how efficient it is to have them be both, and we'll do our due diligence as we go along. For right now, though, that we're now trading language for contracts and getting it all set up and getting started to work with them on who we are, what our goals are, and what we want to do to transform our space. Okay. And so this is a typical approach that Vanman uses to engage with congregations at the outset of the design process. It may not look exactly like this, and this is an eye chart. I can share this with you later so you have it. But know that this is typically how they work with congregations. So the very first phase is inspiration. Now, they're not here today. We have a couple slides we can show you that they created for us to introduce themselves. They're not here today, but pretty soon they will start being here when we begin to do the visioning work in more detail. And so they will start, if you think of the top of the funnel, big picture, and then it just gets more detailed as more decisions get made and we know more. At the very beginning, they're going to start at the highest level. They're going to inherit our data that we've already had. They're going to take the information that we gather from today, and then they're going to meet with you and they're going to talk with you. Meanwhile, they're going to get a clearer understanding about zoning, both for this property and the next property. So what can we do to create more parking spaces? What can we do if we want to have facilities that are laid out a little differently? What are our options? They're going to help us with that, okay? But they're also going to just begin at the highest level in, if you can imagine spitball, just very much ballpark. What might it cost to do the things that we've sort of carved out in the big picture? We didn't get down to the details, so they're not committing to that yet. We're not committing to that, but at the highest level, what might it cost? So that's the beginning of the inspiration 6 to 12 weeks, somewhere in there. Okay, so imagine we work the contract through in the next few weeks, and then it would start shortly after that. All right. Then we go to the visioning, and they start to get down into specifics about accessibility and flow. They're very smart about when you come into a space like a church. There's some things that you want to be able to have in place that they know helps people that are new and people that are returning, that are just philosophically better choices, and they're architects and they know that. So we're going to help them be that expert for us and teach us that. So flow is very important. When you walk in the door, do you know where to go if you're new and you have a need for a nursery? Do you know where the restrooms are? Do you understand where the sanctuary is? If you don't, there's that ever so split-second moment where there's a little bit of less feeling of welcoming. So we want to make sure that we lay out the flow the way that they say churches, the expertise says churches, it would be a good idea. And then they're going to begin hearing literally what do we say we want to be, and then they're going to start helping us plan for that. And then they're going to go into more detailed plans and begin to make it real. And imagine an iterative process. We come together, we go away, and they do some stuff, and then they come back and show us. We come together and do some stuff, and then we go away, and they create more, and then they come back. So it's very much a little back and forth, and then they get to the point where they're starting to put a stake in the ground and say, okay, here's really what we recommend. And they usually keep it optional based on what is there a little bit of flexibility? And then they start to begin to analyze and estimate costs. So they're already thinking about what this is going to cost, so we can be working on the cost piece at the same time. Okay? And again, 6 to 12 weeks, conceptually another 6 to 12 weeks. Then we get to the point where now we have the recommendation for a potential floor plan. And that's really exciting. And now they can do some cool stuff. They can do some 3D and create videos for us that we can have out in the garden court, and we can put up on our website. You can show it to people from your own computer. Here's what we're thinking it might look like. So you can imagine a tabletop model we now can see in 3D. And they've done all this before. We're not their first time. So it's very helpful that they have that expertise. And so you can see that, 24 to 48. From 24 to 50 weeks is about the schedule, could be somewhere there in between, for when we get enough information from each other. And we will do things like meetings where we have just a meeting for every team lead, from every team and committee that's in the Unity. We will have staff only. We will have people that attend the 9:30 service, maybe, I'm making this up, congregational meetings. We will have people in certain, maybe, demographics. We may envision, where do we want to go with our demographics, and who are we missing, and do we want to meet and talk about what they need? Youth and family ministry, what's the best thing for that? And so we will have topical meetings that cover all that so we can provide input to them, and they can provide expertise to us on what the possibilities are too, okay? So, and then once we have the plans, and by the way, we'll have a thread going on our whole prosperity piece and how we're going to pay for this. Once we have the plans, then we move into the construction phase. And at this point, we will have done our homework and discussed it with ourselves, with the board of trustees, with staff on choosing construction. So is it Vanman that will be our construction? We'll know it by this time. So we'll figure out as we go along. And I do think we support Vanman's approach for being a construction firm. We'll learn more as we're working with them. So as we work with them for the next few months, we'll understand what it's like to relate to them and what might it be like to go through a much longer even construction phase, and how they work with us and how they do that expertise. How's that their zone of genius? So, well, we'll figure that out and then we'll make that choice. We haven't made that now. We'll make that choice somewhere in this time frame. Okay? And so what that means is you can see that there will be opportunities to engage with you, depending upon where you come in at Unity, how new you are, if you're on a committee or a team, if you're on staff, there will be opportunities for you to share, either live streaming during opportunities like this in the room, or we'll also have ways to share information, via email and questions and comments, that kind of a thing. So you will then want to, as we communicate with you, as these start to get scheduled, we will give you time to plan for it, and then we'll invite you to participate, okay? But today's the first day, so we're already going to start doing stuff today, okay? So In my professional world, I do change management as a thing. So if you've heard of change management, that literally means helping businesses and organizations be planful about their people when they're doing something different. And it could sound simple. It sounds like they really pay her for that. But the reason they do is because if you know anything about organizations, if you're a part of any of them or have been, or even if you know the dynamics in your family, people have a tendency to focus in their area, so you have some silos. And by nature, when an organization or a company is doing something different, it crosses those silos. Well, who's going to help them with that? And then sometimes, many times, the leaders are really good at the thing they do. That's why they got hired. Not necessarily because they're the best leader of people. So I literally heard this in the last 2 weeks. Well, we'll just send them an email and tell them to do this. It'll be fine. And what we know is that's a disaster. But companies didn't know that. They had to hear it from academics and people doing research to find out, hey, you're losing millions and millions of dollars. You're not meeting the goals of what you set out to do when you did this big change. But you didn't notice it because you weren't looking. But the people that know things, they were looking, and it's been a disaster. And actually, some people in their gut do know that it can be really challenging. And so they spun up this whole field that has models about how to come into a situation and just help people plan for change. And you can imagine we're going to go through some changes. So up to now, when we look at the data from years ago, we saw there have been many positive changes in the space, including the more recent Reverend Pat's office, beautiful work. What we're talking about now, though, when we really look at where we want to go, it's bigger changes than that. And when there's 500 plus as well as online, this many people involved, we can't just send an email and everybody go, oh, great. This is what we're doing now. We first of all need to engage all of us, and then you have your own change journey. Very jingoistic, it's lingo, but it's true. It's a change journey. So I'm where I'm at because of my personality, my style, my learning style, and then how much I already knew. So the first thing we're going to do today as a launch of your change journey is we're going to ask you how much you already knew about the process that we're doing. And then I'll give you a little sneak peek to the future. If you know about change management, you've heard somebody's got a change plan, and they're doing change management, you might also hear about resistance. Some people, they're resistors. They just aren't good with change adoption. They don't like things to change. They don't like things that are new. Well, I've been doing my work enough to know I don't even use the word resistance at work, which is weird to some people. But the truth is, if you peel back the layers, what you find out is many people just need to know things. And they can tell you that they want this change, but they don't know enough to know what it means. They don't know enough about it to be excited about the positives, and they don't know enough about what it's going to call from them to do. Come to meetings, be here on a Sunday at 2, eat a box lunch when the sun is shining. They may not know what it's going to take, and so they might say, yep, I'm totally on board. And then as it unfolds, we don't have them involved. We didn't know that it was going to be hard for them to come to a meeting, so we couldn't plan for it. So you're not going to hear me use the word resistance. I don't worry about that. What I'm concerned about is that we have the information we need to know how we feel about things, okay? So today, we're going to literally come up out of our seats, and we're going to line up. And so as you walked in the door today, you had a level of awareness. Okay. And we did a little bit of this. I kind of demonstrated this, and to people that are operating the camera, I'm about to walk around. So at the town hall meeting in late fall, I showed the spectrum of awareness that starts with not aware at all and goes all the way to heavily involved. So not aware means you're aware of what's going on at Unity. You know everything that's going on at Unity, except you really didn't know that we had a facilities and accessibility committee that was up and running and meeting, and you didn't know that the Board of Trustees has been talking about transformation. You didn't know that we were tying it to our strategic planning and our strategic attentions. You didn't know that we were interviewing architects. So that would be a level 1. You just didn't know. You didn't have to know. This is not remedial. You shouldn't, there's no should. You didn't know, and I just want to know where you're at. Okay, and then at the town hall, I demonstrated, I'm about to walk down here, at a level 5, I'm all the way over here because I have been on the Board of Trustees the last couple of years, and I have been leading the Facilities and Accessibility Committee, and I have been participating in strategic planning. So, and I have been a part of the architects' interviews and the process. And so as much as there is to know, I'm one of the people that's over here at a level 5. You can imagine my change journey. I'm already like, oh, I want this and this and this, and I can already see it. I'm already farther into my own vision for it because I've had a lot of time to think about it. Because I've been, and not because someone said, Margie, you need to start thinking about this. We're not going to do that. We're going to involve because it's time. I've been thinking about it because I've been doing stuff for it, okay? So if you are someone who came, you heard about this today, you weren't sure what it was, but your committee really thinks it's important for you to engage in this process, you might be completely unaware, and that's perfect. That's right where you are, okay? And then some people, maybe you heard some rumblings. Somebody in your household knew something. Yeah, I heard about it. I'll figure that out when I get there. Or, oh, yeah, they've been talking about that for years, whatever. That would be a normal response, okay? That's just a normal change response because the brain can only take in so much, so the brain says, not doing that. We're probably not going to do anything, not worrying about that. But then you might be awareness level 3, which is, well, I've been hearing about this. And they were meeting, and they mentioned it at the town hall, and then they mentioned it at the annual meeting. Now the brain's going, fine, I guess we're doing this. I will let the information in, and I'll start to deal with what I think and how I feel. So that would be about a level 3. Level 4 would be maybe you've actually come to a meeting or you've read something about it, and you were somewhere between aware and all the way all in, able to talk about it to somebody else and speak about it. So what we're going to ask you to do, first of all, raise your hand if you know right now off the top of your head your level of awareness, where you fit. Okay? All right. We'll take 30 seconds. I want you to think about it. And then I'm going to ask you to come and line up. And the first thing I'm going to do is ask for volunteers. So can I get a volunteer, probably from the board, to be at awareness level 5, which is involved, and just go stand there. Jim will do that. And so if you are at, you can go do that now. If you're at a level 5, you would just come and hang out with Jim and line up somewhere near him. Think of that as level 5, okay? Do I have a volunteer who can tell me they were completely unaware? They had no information, not aware. Okay. We will have some of those folks at future meetings. It may be that you're here because you were aware of some, but we'll put those by Sarah's coat. Okay? Sarah's coat is not aware. Okay? All right? Okay. And so level 3 would be informed. So if you feel like you're about somewhere between not aware and involved, can I get a volunteer who's a level 3 who would come and stand right here? Kershid, right in the middle. Does someone know that they're a level 2, which would be aware? All right. Steve, would you come down and be a 2, aware? And then does someone know that they understand? They're at a level 4. Marie, would you come down and somewhere between Kershid and Jim be a level 4? How are we doing on the camera? Cool. We're taxing the tech committee. We're giving them opportunities. Okay, so if you would, and let us cheat out. Let's go a little farther out to the wings. And Sarah's coat virtually is walking up to underneath the hearts. So if you would come right now and stand underneath the heart, well, we don't have anybody that's there. If you would come and stand near Steve for level 2, near Kershid for level 3, near Marie for level 4, and near Jim for involved. For you that are joining us online, I would like you to write into the chat area if you are level 1, which is not aware, level 2, which is aware, the number 3, if you're informed, you can write either the number or the word. Number 4 is understand, and level 5 is involved. So if you would just say who you are and put into the chat area your level, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. John, your level of awareness? Do you want to come down here and stand? Yeah. Okay, now I'm really going to leave the camera, but I'll be back. Okay? I'm going this way. look around at each other. So we have some people who feel like they are not unaware, but maybe not very aware. Is that you're over there? Okay. So if you're familiar with the bell curve is just about averages. You can take any 100 people and theoretically, do they like strawberries? And there's a curve. You know, middle of the road, love them, don't eat them at all. This is 5 involved. Yes. Okay. This is wonderful. Thank you so much. So now what we're going to do is we are going to be breaking down into small groups. And so I'm going to ask the people that raise their hands and volunteer to come down to be a lead. And then I'm going to ask you to take your people and go to an area. And then when you get to that area, because it can be a different area, and if you have to go get your stuff, that's fine. We're going to see, do you need to break down further into a couple groups so that there's enough time for people to be able to provide input, okay? So Jim, if you would take your involved, actually we're not doing, the involved people are going to help, but if you would just step off to the side, all the involved people just sort of move that way, okay? And then, do I have a volunteer over here for being a lead of your group? Great. What is your name? Holly. Hi, Holly. So if you would take your group and go into this corner here and just sit, and then I'll tell you what we're going to do next, okay? And then, Kershid, are you level 3? Wonderful. If all the 3s would please come into this area right here, and we'll see how to further break them down if needed. And then for those who are live streaming, we are going to give you some things to do while we're meeting in groups so that you can participate as well, and then we'll come back together into large group. So these are 3s. Okay. All right, and then who was my number 4? Was Marie. If you would take your group and be down in this area here. And then who did I have? Steve, if you would take your group and be over here. Okay? Right in this area, these couple rows here. And then we are going to further break down. Right over there. So for small groups, we're going to want 6 people. 7 if we have to, but really 6. So I'm going to ask you for one person here then to volunteer to be the other lead and take half the group and just separate off. Okay, and I'm going to ask the same thing here if one of you would please, and we're going to have board members and staff are going to come and help you, but if somebody here would split off and take half of you and just come over to this side, okay, of this group here, I think you're fine, okay? And then I do think, Kershid, you need a buddy, and they need to split off about half. And if you can just figure it out. All right. Okay, so where you're at right now, if you would just pause, and now we're going to ask the involved folks to fan out, figure out amongst yourselves, and go at least 1 to each group, and then if we have an extra, you can join a group that already has somebody. And then to the people that are online, we do have people from the Facilities and Accessibility Committee who are online helping to chat with you, so just so you know that they're there. We haven't started yet. Thank you, though, but we haven't started yet, so if you could just give me a second, but my phone is not very happy. Okay. All right, so here's what's going to happen. I'm going to give you a little insight into what we're going to do, and then we're going to have Nia is going to facilitate visioning with us, and then we're going to get started. I will ask you if everyone has this handout. And if you don't, please raise your hand and we will make sure you have this. And something to write with. And there are pens in the back, and I have more. I have lots and lots of pens. Let me take all the markers out. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. We're going to do a visioning, and we're going to be meditating, and she is going to walk us through imagining a transformed space. So you'll have a chance to go deep and let Spirit, acknowledge Spirit's presence, who is already here, by the way, but we just have to tap in, and then we're going to discover what we envision. Then we're going to take some individual time, or we're going to jot down some notes. I just took a piece of paper and added a blank piece of paper and folded it in half so you'd have a little bit of a writing surface. That's really all this is. It's not any fancier than that. It's like having a notebook or a clipboard without that. And I'm going to ask you individually to write down, as you go through the meditation, and once you come out of that, to write down 3 things that as we achieve our transformed space, 3 things that we want to make sure we have kept from what we have now that is absolutely working for you. And then I'm going to ask you to write down 3 things that you would change or add, and then 1 or 2 burning questions. So you'll have time individually to spend a few minutes jotting those down. Then I'm going to ask you to come back into your groups, and I'll announce when that is, and then I would like you to share with each other. And then I would like you to choose common themes, okay? And then we're going to report those out by group, and I'm going to write them up on the easel that I saw out there that I'll go get in a minute. And then, but you're going to hang on to these. We're going to collect these at the end. We will not lose all the information that you have captured, but we will report out what we heard that was common. Okay, and then we're going to look at an introduction to Vanman, and we're going to talk about some frequently asked questions, and then we're going to do Q&A, and I'm going to send you home with a handout of those frequently asked questions, and those we'll continue to add to those. But for today, we're going to envision. We're going to say, here's what I'd love to keep. Here's what I'd love to change or add, and here's 1 or 2 burning questions I already have, and then we're going to come back together, okay? What questions do you have about that? Yes, Catherine.
Can I just encourage people to do introductions in their group?
Yep, let's do that. Yep. Do you want to do that now, or do you want to wait till after the meditation?
Whenever the group start talking.
Perfect. Okay, yep, let's do that after the meditation. Are there any questions online? Anybody has any question about what the process online? Because what we're going to ask you to do online is to mentally jot down, or literally jot down 3 keeps, 3 adds or changes, and put those into the chat. Okay? All right, so I would invite Nia to come up. I have a microphone for you, and she's going to walk us through a vision process.
Hello.
If you would introduce yourself.
Yes, hi. It is. Hi, I'm Nia Claire, and I am part of the fellowship, which I love, and I'm also a member of the Leadership Development Committee. And yesterday we had a wonderful team lead meeting where we did this exercise of having a vision, and so we'll be doing that today. And I just want to encourage you to just take a couple of deep breaths. Place your feet on the ground. Open your hands if you can. If you are comfortable, close your eyes. And just take a couple of deep breaths. Breathing in and taking even a deeper breath in. And letting go. Feeling your body relax into the chair that you're sitting in. Feeling the weight of your body in the chair. Feeling the weight of your feet on the floor, and taking in another deep breath. And again, and letting go. Just let yourself relax. As we come to this place of quiet, just imagine above your head a beautiful warm sun. Beautiful, warm, golden light shining down over your body, warming you, bringing you fully present to this moment, shining down over every bit of you, relaxing you, helping you stay fully present in this moment, enjoying what it is to be in this beautiful light. Now imagine that light flowing within you, bringing that light deep within your body, bringing your attention into the most inner place within you, that place where that knowing, that connection with Spirit resides so clearly. Breathing in, relaxing. It is in this place that great wisdom arises, great knowing is brought forth into our consciousness. And now let's go on a little journey. We're going to go out 3 years from now. It's February 24th, 2022. We are gathering in our beautiful fellowship hall. All of the people that were here 3 years ago are here with you now celebrating. We are celebrating our space transformed, our community transformed. And just allow yourself to be present to the energy that is there. Don't worry about having to see anything. Just feel the energy of the transformation within your body, around you. Can you feel the light shining around you? Can you feel the energy of the people who are celebrating and gathering in delight around you? And now begin to look around. Look around at the faces that are familiar to you. Those who are here with you thinking, wow, look at what has come of this. Wow, this is beautiful. Who else is gathering? Who are the faces you don't yet recognize? Who is here holding hands with you, sharing space with you? And now as you look beyond the faces and the energy of the people around you, begin to notice the space that you're in. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What do the chairs feel like? What about the ground that your feet are on? Where is the light coming from? How warm are you? How much space is around you? And begin to move around in this space, taking in all that is here for you to see and to experience. Whatever it is a part of your dream of what Unity Minneapolis has come to be. This dream that began as a yearning, a longing for something more within you. And here it is made manifest. What you dreamed and so much more. Allow it to show itself to you through your senses, through your feelings. Take a moment to allow that to cascade over you, to flow through you, to make a memory. How good do you feel? What emotion would you claim? How proud are you of the accomplishment of your dream and of the shared dream of this fellowship? Allow it to sink into your being. And now as we have settled this feeling into our bones, into our cells. Let's back this up and bring it back into this present moment as we move back a year. It's February 24th, 2021. Feel the energy of the building of this, of the construction, of the placement of pieces, the thought, the energy going into making this space, the excitement of what it will be. And backing that up, it's February 24th, 2020. You're gathering, starting to see the models, starting to see the fabric samples, starting to see what the windows can look like, the property that's chosen. What does this look like? What are we imagining? Can we feel the excitement building? And bringing with us the knowing that this is already made manifest. You have already felt it. And still the excitement is titillating and exhilarating. Let's bring that energy back with us. It is January 2020. Now December 2019. Bringing that whole energy, that excitement, that knowing of what it is we are creating with us on this journey as we bring that closer to now. It is November 2019, October 2019, feeling the energy as we are seeing the ideas of this community come into fruition. September 2019, August 2019. July 2019, do you feel the excitement as you are bringing that knowing back closer to this present moment? June 2019, May 2019, April 2019, March 2019, and we are back present, fully feeling the knowing of what our dream is and how it will be shown and discovered and created together as we do our work today. We hold this knowing in our hearts. We hold the vision in our consciousness as we work together to build from this place, knowing that it is already created. Take a deep breath. Feel the energy, feel your knowing, feel your wisdom. Come back to this place. And when you're ready, I invite you to bring your hands together in front of you and gently rub them together. Bringing the palms of your hands up to your eyes, gently opening your eyes into the palms of your hand, fully bringing this energy with you back to the room, back to the work that we're here to do today. Thank you.
Before you start talking in your groups and introducing yourselves, I'd like you to take 2 minutes and jot down on your handout 3 keeps, 3 adds and or changes, 1 or 2 burning questions, if any. One more minute. Who needs more time? One more minute. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I would like you in your groups to, as Catherine mentioned, introduce yourselves and then share. So you have about 5 minutes to do this, so see if you can stay on task. We'll have lots of time to talk over the next 500 years, but for right now, let's just take the time that we have so we can keep honest with our schedule. Share with your group your 3 keeps and your 3 add or changes. Hold off on your questions. We'll share those together. And then look for common themes. And so select someone, maybe the person that gathered your group or the person that fanned out with you, the board member, to then be willing to report back out to us. Choose among your group 3 common keeps and 3 common adds or changes. And then we'll take 5 minutes and see how much more time you need. And then at that point, we'll come back together and we'll report those and we'll jot those down, what we notice. And by the way, I have flip charts for you. So if someone would come from your group, and you can write them. I also have markers, so take a flip chart. And here is you can take a big marker and a smaller one. Yep, flip chart. Here's a big marker and a smaller one. Flip chart. And if you've never used these before, I'll try to demonstrate how. It's very fancy. Big and little. We're going to run out. Just take little then. Yep. Okay. And then I can get more markers if we need to. So it is peel it off the back, and then you fold it, and it turns into a tripod. And then it becomes like a little tabletop flip chart. Then you can start. I'll go and get some more markers, and we'll make those available. But go ahead right now, begin to introduce yourselves, and go around and share each of your keeps and your adds or changes. just had a question I wanted to clarify in case you have this question as well. When we talk about keep and we talk about change or add, it's anything. It's process, it's people, roles, it's physical space, it's anything. Whatever comes to your heart. Two more minutes, please. 2 more minutes. Well, then I'm going to give you 5. Some people are challenged with math. Two minutes, please. 2 minutes. Sorry to say it's everything we may need. We're going to do more time. People need more time. I'm hearing that people need more time, so go ahead and take more time, please. We're going to take more. People need more time. Yep, and people need more time. They just need more. Prosperity. More, more, more. Would you please choose your 3 for each, and then we'll report it out, and I'll write it up there. No, we added time. You have time. And now we'll take 2 more minutes. Final call. 2 more minutes. Thank you so much. We're waiting. Yep, we're waiting. We're waiting on questions. Okay, let us please come back together. And I'm going to ask the group in the far left corner, my far left corner, to report out first. So here's how we're going to do this. We're going to start with keeps, and we'll go all the way around. So I'm going to ask you to share with us your 3 common keeps, and then we'll go to the next group here and here, and I would ask you to only add to the list. So if you already had some, you wouldn't need to repeat those. And we'll make it all the way around, and then we'll shift from the keeps, and we'll go to the adds and changes and start in the back and come this way. Okay? And so starting with Greg, who is still working, do you have 3 keeps? And remember, you're going to turn your document in. We'll have all of your notes. We're not going to lose any of it, and we'll be maintaining this data and keeping it going so that we won't lose your good information. But we just kind of want to understand from each other, where's everybody at in terms of common themes? So
we have sanctuary and light.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Logistics.
Light was an important theme with our group. So having light in our sanctuary is something we wanted to keep. Having light in our garden court, our areas where people are coming in.
Okay?
And the use of natural materials.
Yes. Wonderful. All right. And over here, Steve. Oh, I'm sorry. Can we pass the mic? Great.
We also had the natural materials and the natural light and sanctuary.
Genius.
Welcoming foyer.
Welcoming foyer.
Friendship hall.
Welcoming friendship hall. Oh, you mean just friendship
Just
hall?
a friendship
Just
hall.
keep a friendship hall.
Correct.
Not necessarily that one. Did I editorialize there
Yes.
for a second? Oh! You're never going to play poker with me. Or I'm never going to play with you. Yeah.
PA system in the sanctuary.
Are we still in our 3?
Oh, top 3.
Top 3.
The bookstore.
The books? All right. And not necessarily this one, but a bookstore.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Again, just being clear, it could be this one. Well, yeah. All right. And what about this group here? 3 common keeps. Kevin. 3 common keeps, Kevin.
Sanctuary field.
Feel.
And I think that includes the light and the materials. And then the welcoming open space and location, I think. Here.
All right. Love it. And then that is a live mic right there. Oh, Nancy's moving. All right. And so if we could invite this group here, Cassidy.
So, for our keep, we had meditation room, and our beautiful outdoor spaces. Thanks, Eddie.
Ah, a la Eddie.
And the Inspiring Worship Space, was that, yeah, Inspiring Worship Space is another one.
Okay. Thank you. The next group up.
I think it's me.
Yeah,
So,
over.
So you want different ones, or?
So yeah, so if you so any, well, just tell us if you had any that were already on here.
We already have that we want light,
Yeah.
a big open light sanctuary, that we want nature and gardens, and we want a meditation room.
Love it. Thank you. And if you'll pass the mic up there.
All right, a lot of what's we've got have been mentioned already. I think the only other thing is just generally in programs. I know this is a lot about facilities, but it was brought up that programs such as music, people in transition, prayer chaplains, those are important programs to this church to have a community, so keep that.
Love it. All right, and then if you would keep the mic, Jim. And then can you give us your 3 ads or... I'm sorry. No, I'm wrong. Kershid's group for keeps.
Right. And then the small letters. Okay. All right. We
Here's
have
Maggie.
we've covered most of those.
Great.
And we've added. We had a lot of discussion about having good music, like the music, message, and meditation. And then we like having a lot of small classroom spaces that we already have.
Wonderful. All right, and then if you would keep the mic and transition and tell us your 3 ads and or...
Top 3.
Yes, comment, yeah.
Accessibility.
What else?
And improved fellowship hall with more light, maybe flowing outside.
Yep. Okay.
And signage and flow.
Signage and flow. So internal signage. All right. Great. Now if you would yes. Do you, for flow, do you mean in the building, in the space? People understand. How do you drop your children off? How do you drop your children off? How do you, when you come in, where do you go if you're new? We did visit one when we did our field trip. We visited one church and I walked in the door and I did not know where the sanctuary was. So that flow was not ideal. We're not going to be doing that. Because the research says if you come in, you don't know where the sanctuary is, it's a moment. It's all this unconscious moments. I might not be back. I might not like that. It's a little moment of friction. Okay.
All right, for change, I'm going to ask my group for forgiveness after I say this. So here's what was wrong. We're going to add a rooftop patio to this building for social events, for coffee hour, for whatever. The staff can have lunch up there in the summer. There'll be an elevator going up there, that's already assumed. We own the manse next door. We're going to demolish that. We're going to erect an event center with floor-to-ceiling windows facing south, overlooking the lake in downtown Minneapolis. We'll rent that out at nights and weekends. During the day, the business day, it'll be offices for staff. And yet, there's more. The back parking lot will be removed. That will be a green space for youth and family ministry for children to play during Sunday morning. Underneath that will be a 5-level parking ramp. And I'm going to write a check right before I leave here today to cover all that. Thank you, team, for allowing me to go deep
We have learned
in the mic spot.
We have learned in the prosperity classes, if we want it, we can have it. If it came to us, it's possible. That's not what we were taught. That's what we're learning now. If the idea came to us, it's there as a possibility. We just need to go after it.
So we want flexible space, meaning we have big little rooms. There are rooms, the walls are movable so that we can do lots of different kinds of activities. We also want not only a play space, but we want different gaming rooms for different age levels in the youth and families. So there's a game room for teens, there's a kids room for play, etc., and a playground. And We want, I'm going to add, Pat, we want a circular space where we can build community, and that it's something that is welcoming to multiple cultures, not just whites.
All right, and now we come over to Cassidy. She can come up to this mic.
I shall.
Anything that would be added here?
Okay, so we said parking and entrance area, so making sure that the parking is ample, especially for people who would need a drop-off. And an overhang, like waiting area, so if you're waiting for someone to pick you up, you don't have to be out in the rain. And that the doors go right into the garden court, so that it's really clear, kind of when you're in, you're in. And then we said more natural and variable lighting, so I think lighting was already mentioned. And then a bigger, more inviting and equipped fellowship hall, which has also been mentioned. And then the only other thing was like having the flow, like a great flow of spaces, which I think was probably also mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you. And now Kevin. And the noise.
Yeah, we said, thank you. Update a better kitchen and better gathering area, flexible
Hallelujah, kitchen.
for big meetings and big
More
parties that can cater on the rooftop.
Catering.
And also update the classrooms in the nursery, obviously for look and feel for the folks, but also for flexibility. Maybe there's ways we can have partitions and walls and flex space sizes. Sure, we can flex nursery and classroom spaces in larger and smaller as needed. That's a goal.
Love it.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, and Steve, can we get a microphone? It's right there.
Yeah, elevator for accessibility, increased parking and accessibility to it.
What else?
And better space for kids' education.
Nice. All right.
And Margie, we had all of the,
Okay.
accessibility being a priority at all levels and all spaces, and parking obviously was an issue. So I'm going to mention some of the other things that
Okay.
we had on our list.
Strategic.
Right. So in terms of like our acoustically sound spaces, so that, if you're sitting in fellowship hall, you can hear the person that's talking to you, 3 chairs away and stuff like
I
that.
hate when that happens.
The other thing that we said, more uses of nature in our space, so use of water, fireplace, use of stones, crystals, whatever in our space. And then just more color.
Wonderful. Okay, and then online, I'm going to share with you their keeps and the adds and changes, and then we're going to quickly look at a 2-minute set of slides introducing Vanman, our architect, and then we'll close out with questions. So they wanted to keep the natural light, which we had. They wanted to keep the bookstore, which we had, and the Youth and Family Ministry office, which is a beautiful space. And then the Midwest room. So somebody online likes the Midwest room. And I believe that's the blue one. It's the dark blue paint. So, yeah. And then for change would be more gardens, and we've talked about that. And then more parking, we've talked about that. And then welcoming entrances. And then a healing solarium. How cool would that be? Thank you. That got the wow factor. You've got to implement if you watch Modern Family. And then ladies' bathroom that's not as cold. So somebody has used the bathroom. And new carpet. You can see that some of these don't require spirit. We can do these, and we will. And so we're going to do both. We're going to do things we can do, and then we're going to do things we need spirit for. And then fully accessible. Amen to that. Wonderful. Okay, thank you so much. So we're going to talk more about this, but as we go, it's going to become less theoretical and more detailed. We're going to start getting to the point where we're actually planning, and we will commit, not because it's scarcity and we always have to choose one over other, because we're going to get clear so that we can keep moving forward, okay? I want to share with you a few slides that Vanman put together to introduce themselves to you, and then the next time we meet, I predict, I believe, they will be here, and you will be able to that you will be able to meet them in person, and they'll tell us how they're going to work with us, okay? One of the things we really appreciate about meeting them and talking to them is they really do feel like it's a calling to help people build a legacy for the future, for the spaces, so that they can do the work they want to do with God. And so we're pretty much at time for how much time we wanted to use for today. So I have some FAQs, some frequently asked questions that I wrote up and that I will send with you in a handout. We will begin to add to these. I want to call your attention to a blue kiosk out in the garden court that is for facilities and accessibility. There's a comments box there. You can always plop in a question, plop in a comment, and we will keep that up, and we're going to keep building on these sessions. What I want to do now, and people can feel free to go, but I want to open it up to Q&A, and then as you leave, I want you to leave your documents on the table out there, and I'll have this stack of FAQs, and please take one, and then we'll post this on the site, and we'll also make it available to people in the chat, and we will continue to add to this as we know more. We don't know a lot, but there's still a whole page of potential questions, and so we'll take it from here. So please, as you leave your handouts out there and then pick up one of these, and let's open it up now to questions. And we'll just want to make sure you have a mic. And do we have, oh, yes, Nancy, thank you. Is that what you're asking? Do we have a mic? Yes, so if you would hand it to Steve, yeah.
Do we have a budget for this?
So the budget is prosper.
Oh, that.
Yeah, what?
Oh, that.
Yeah. So in the process, and board members pipe in, Reverend Pat can pipe in, from my vantage point, being on facilities and accessibility, the process for the budget is that it's a work stream that goes along with the what. So that is a part of the how. And so we haven't set a budget. We no longer pay for a mortgage. We no longer pay for a mortgage on the manse. And so we have our annual budget, and we made sure we budgeted to pay for the architect. And then we will develop a capital campaign to raise the dollars that are needed as we develop what it is that we want to do to transform our space. Anybody else want to add to that? You will continue to get and give information on that piece. We can, so if you, yep.
Looking around the room, I don't see more than that many people under 60 or 55 here, and so who is going to engage the younger elements in our congregation in this early stage planning?
Mhm.
That's my question.
So this is this is something that Vanman will provide the structure for, and we will too, to make sure that, number one, we hit all of the demographics within our existing church, as well as the demographics that we also want to make sure that we plan for. Because we're looking for 50 years out, 20 years out, 30 years out, you can just imagine. So we will look for demographics of people that aren't even here at Unity and make sure that we include all the ages, all the families by age. Yes. Okay, he's next, and then if we can keep a mic over there. So he's got a mic. My head's not working? Okay.
No.
Because we have people online. We have people online.
Well, I think we all want as much accessibility as possible, but I just want to get a perspective on that question, and that is, I'm assuming if we make any improvements, we must by law get every single level accessible. Is that correct?
Even if it wasn't the law, that is what we're going to do. All accessibility at all levels. Yep, we said it and we will do it. Absolutely. There's no option that we won't. So 1, 2, and then 3.
I had a question about temporary facilities. Would we be doing services in a temporary facility, and if so, where and how long?
That could be a possibility. We're not there yet, but certainly, it's certainly.
Repeat the question.
Oh, the question was, as we're re-envisioning our space, is there a possibility that we would need to hold services, et cetera, in a temporary space, and where that might be? And
I would think that that's probably going to happen.
yeah, probably will.
Unless we literally don't change anything about this entire space here, including accessibility and the doors. But I'm thinking we're probably going to need to do that, so. I'm not talking to my mic, I'm so sorry. But it was really profound.
So know that we'll need to plan for that. Whether maybe Noble Elementary or, someplace close, or, perhaps over at Courage Center or something.
Can we hold on? We have Judith wanted to add to a comment.
Well, I was just going to say that the architects that we went and visited, and at the 4 samples that we saw of their work, all of them, the feedback from that facility, that church, was how well the architects worked with them to keep the staff together as long as they could, and then let them know when they were moving, or to work with other area churches so that we knew when we would maybe not be in the facility. So I think that's high on all of their lists, to make sure it's as easy as possible for both the staff and congregation.
Did we get Eddie? Yep.
One of my questions in the past when I was involved with facility committee was conflict of interest. Basically, the person who make a decision or suggests us what to do in the building involving in the construction project created conflict of interest in our parking space and roof, and also the brickwork we did in the past. Do you see the same company doing the suggestion what needs to be done and doing the work doesn't create any conflict of interest?
I do think I know what you mean. If anybody else wants to comment, otherwise I can respond. Do you understand the question? He's saying, when you have an architect tell me if this is correct, Eddie. When you have an architect that is also your construction company, they have a bit of an interest in what they decide. Yeah. So what we know what we've appreciated about Vanman, so we've put them through a very rigorous process to choose from all the ones that we had to start with. And we were looking for how we feel about their integrity and their honesty and their way that they show up. And they presented us already with 3 different options that ran from one end of the spectrum to the other, because they they know that they have to give us what we're looking for or we won't continue with them. I will also say that Vanman has several projects in their portfolio where they were brought in during the construction phase because it wasn't going well working with the other architect. And they came in and did a repair and cleanup and got back on track and got back on budget. So they seem to be very responsive, and we will lead. We will lead it and make sure that we feel good and that it's ethical and appropriate.
The other thing I would just add to that is based on, estimated construction bids, all things being equal, I mean, they came in the most competitive of any other firm that the Board of Trustees and the Facilities Committee engaged.
And I would think when it comes down to having actual plans, that we would bid it out. I mean, I would think that as a responsible Board of Trustees and doing our due diligence, that we would bid it out and just make sure that we're not paying for, we'd go through the same process we already did and have the right builder.
Okay, 1 second. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. My question is about accessibility, and I've been hearing a lot about it. I'm just wondering how much this architecture firm has in experience with doing accessibility. I mean, it's more than just an elevator. I mean, you've got to measure the doors to make sure wheelchairs get through. You got to be, I mean, there's a lot of things, and I'm just wondering if they have that.
They do, and it's a part of their field now. And they also think about green and LEED and all of those. And they are typically recommending all one level because of accessibility. It's so normal to them. This is not that normal. And so for other places, it's much more normal to, and if we look at, let's say we look at what it would take to stay here and we look at possibilities about if there were another space, there are some spaces that they've been accessible since they were built because that was just the way they did it. And so it's absolutely accessibility at all levels for everyone in every way possible.
Yeah, I was just curious, is this a local firm?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All the ones that we interviewed were local. Who else? Online? Are there any questions online? You gave them to me. All right. Oh, hold on. Jeez. They're so ahead of me. Question from online. How will activities be managed with the least amount of disruption? So we did talk about that a little bit, and Vanman was particular in how they shared with us, how they work with churches, to be really methodical, planful, and strategic in moving us around as they need to go to the next thing. They did seem to be really aware of that and planful out ahead. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Thank you to board members and staff who are here helping out. And thank you for coming and giving us part of your day. And then I'm going to have the FAQs available for you. And if Reverend Pat would close us and pray us out.
I want to give a great hand here to Margie. So again, let's just take a moment and just give thanks. Just stir up that attitude of gratitude within you and giving thanks that we have truly launched this, that we've had an open and wonderful conversation. We just open our hearts to more. And we constantly say yes, yes, and yes. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you.
Yeah.